Hello and welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me on the couch this week, Ashley Hodley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here.
And Ciaran Marchant.
What the fuck was that? what was that? What's with him giving you nothing?
I think it's because we recorded something right before this, so he didn't have time.
Yeah,
to,
I didn't have time to prep
for a joke. He didn't have he usually has all day. He's at work. He's at home.
Listen,
I think of a pun or something like that. Yeah, he's trying to think of one.
Save my
now.
jokes for later in the episode.
Okay, fair enough. It means he's going to try and think of one for later in the episode. But that's fine.
No, I've got jokes for later in the episode.
Oh, you got jokes.
I know which ones he's got jokes for.
I can kind of guess. So today on the show, Mass Effect Legendary Edition gets an official release date and gameplay. We'll talk about that. Bayonetta 3 and Watch Dogs 2 do not. And Nintendo maybe cancelled a Zelda Netflix series. So we'll be talking a little bit about that and other things. Firstly, just going to brush over a couple reviews, previews. Firstly, the first two things I talked about in detail on Platinum Explosion episode. I think it was 195, right, Ash? I think that was the...
Oh my god, five away from 200.
Yeah,
fuck
I think that's why I think when we finished recording, it was like, oh fuck, this is 195 episodes.
It just came up quick.
Yeah, came up fast. But so I've got a review up on the website for Control Ultimate Edition. I gave it a 9.5. That's a whole point up from my 8.5 for the original one. It basically fixes all the technical not problems.
With it going up to a 9.5. How's it compared to Death Stranding, which was the top game from that year?
I still would pick Death Stranding because I don't know.
For me, that's a big leap. Of like 0.5 is a big leap between the two.
A whole point. 8.5 to 1.5.
A whole point. Like I think Death Stranding deserves way more. I guess, but that's, I
can't remember what I gave Death. I don't recall.
I'm pretty sure it was a 9.5.
You gave it, I think you gave it a 10, right?
No, it wasn't. I think it was a 9.5.
Okay.
But I mean, 9.5 Control. But if they're both great games. This Ultimate Edition makes the game run a lot better, but Death Stranding...
As we like to say, Death Stranding created a whole genre. So
yeah, exactly. But Control, if you haven't played it or you played it and you were like, oh no, like on console this seems like it should probably play better at 60 frames per second, the answer to that is yes, it plays a lot better at 60 frames. The Ultimate Edition does have ray tracing, but honestly, just play it at 60. The ray tracing's nice for photo mode or whatever, but 60, it just
Can you easily switch?
Can't go back.
So if I want to...
You can switch it. You don't have to restart the game. It just lets you easily flick back and forth, so it's handy. Some of these games...
Switch it, open photo mode, take my photo.
And then switch
back.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Control, one Explosion Network's top... was it number 2?
It was number 2, 2019.
2019.
Explosion.com/best of 2019.
There you go. Also have a review up for Destruction AllStars. So this is the PlayStation Plus it's part of PlayStation Plus.
You reviewed both of them.
What?
That's impressive. You reviewed both the PlayStation Plus games.
I did, yeah. Technically I reviewed all 3 because Concrete Genie was the 3rd game and I've got a review for that as well. So Destruction AllStars is it's the PlayStation's first big game for 2021. It was supposed to launch.
I think big is a strong word.
Well, that's why I was kind of hanging on it. It's their first exclusive. It's the first Sony exclusive for 2021. I gave it a 7. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm sure me and Ash will talk about it a lot more in this week's upcoming Platinum Explosion because when we recorded last week's, we'd only played a little bit each. Ash hadn't played as much as he has by now because Ash, and Buddy from Radio Watson also put in a fuck ton of more hours the other night playing it. So, but I'm having a lot of fun. Obviously, it's 7. My biggest hang up is just a few little things, but mostly it doesn't have a good injection of content or like a stuff to make you feel like you're unlocking cool things.
There's no progression.
The progression's just kind of shit, to be honest.
Yeah. They
it's
just added missions.
They just added dailies, but
objectives.
That doesn't it means nothing because I'm still like, okay, I get extra XP, but my problem is that when I'm leveling up, I don't care. Like, what am I getting from leveling up? Don't nothing.
Currency for stuff.
That's pretty shit. So that's my major gripe. But it's basically a destruction derby mixed with a hero shooter with parkour. That's Destruction AllStars. So yeah, read my review for that as well, ExplosionNetwork.com. And then the third thing I'll go over quickly is I put up a preview for this game called A Journey to an Uncertain End, which is kind of like it's a visual novel type thing, adventure game crossed with a resource management type thing. I know it's hard to explain. It gets even weirder when I tell you that the character you're playing as is the ship in the game. So you have a crew and you're trying to escape your ex, like your legit like ex girlfriend, boyfriend. I don't know at this stage, but your ex, which I presume has to be a ship as well. I don't know, but you play as the ship, and you obviously the part of the game is making friends with and talking to your what do you call them, the people on your ship, whatever they're called, people on your ship, and you have a character, you have an avatar that you can choose to design, but it's just an AI like hologram of the ship that kind of talks to people or whatever. And then the main gameplay over the half hour to an hour I played or whatever it was you go to a planet, you talk to a few people, and you send people out on missions. Certain characters have different skill trees, like normal stuff, like this person's a heavy, this person's like a tech person, blah, 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 blah. So you have to assign them correctly to missions so they do better at the jobs and have a higher chance of bringing back more resources and more fuel, so then you can fly to different planets, and that seemed to be the general loop. Also, on board the ship is an AI corgi, so...
an AI corgi.
Extra points for that, because I...
Is there an AI queen or royal family near?
Maybe we shall...
Possibly, makes sense.
We shall find. So that was... if you want to read my full preview for that, explosionnetwork.com, show notes, of course, as well. Let's get into the news. So the first couple of things are just some PSAs, in case you missed them. Just a couple of things I find funny also. So firstly, we now know that Lady Dimitrescu, is that right? Is that how we're saying it?
I'm just gonna allow you to think that's right and carry on with the world. I just think
Dimitrescu.
It's probably Demetris.
You reckon?
It's probably Demetris.
All right, I'll go with it. Lady Demetris. We found out that she is nearly 10 foot tall. She's 9'6", which is... That includes her heels and hat, though, apparently. So everyone's quite happy to know that. But the thing I found most funny about this story is just the fact that they revealed this information, and the kind of cute tweet in which Resident Evil did it, like from the official RE Games account, where they write this nice long message where they're like, thanks everyone for falling in love with our character. We're so happy for it. Like, they didn't go as far as, we're happy that you're all horny, but they basically said, we're happy you're all horny.
Did you see? So there was Philip DeFranco reported on the internet going kind of nuts on this. But then people started freaking out at him because he quoted and said that gamers wanted her to sit on them, where really they were all like, no, we want her to step on us. And it was like, fucking hell.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference, apparently.
I keep seeing people be like, y'all going to be, all these people that are wanting her to step on you will be angry when she turns into a giant grotesque monster. And then every time I see someone tweet that, I'll reply that to one of these tweets. Someone just automatically replies like, "No, I'll be happier." Like,
yeah, but she could turn back though, right?
She gonna be dead by the end of that game. I hate to spoil it for everyone, but she gonna take a shotgun to the face.
Yeah, two things. It's Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu,
according to pronunciation.
.org?
Pronouncenames.com.
Okay, cool. Dimitrescu.
I will say it's very weird, this sexualization of this character straight away. I'm just gonna say it. It's a weird, like, double standard or whatever. I don't know. It just feels odd in this time period where suddenly.
I don't even know if half people are sexualizing. It's just a
a joke.
The phrase "step on me" is so. I see it. It's so common now. I feel
it's such a meme. It is such a meme where it's like, "Yes, Queen, step on me." Like, it's part of
as
that.
Silly as that sounds coming out of Kieran's mouth, it's and like most of the time, I feel like, and I'm obviously some people are maybe legit sexualizing, like, yeah, come here, vampire lady. But most of it's just I don't know. Like, people are playing it like it's some sort of fetish, but it's not even that. It's just like.
I think it's like interesting
hot
just
tall
to see
lady. People are like, yeah, fucking.
It's almost like a female empowerment in some form or way, where it's like just a very strong woman. That is,
especially because most of the people I've seen loving her are
other women.
girls. Yeah.
Like, yeah, other women. Yeah, definitely. They're in the forefront of it.
Yeah, so I thought it was funny how Resident Evil hasn't tried to ignore the memes. I appreciate when companies can at least play into the memes.
Just step into it.
Yeah, step into it. There you go. Good job. There's your joke. All right, you've got your quota. Back to bed with you.
You've got quota. You've now got to leave.
No, that's just the
several of
minimum.
the other ones.
Okay,
It's just the minimum.
Okay. Next PSA. Sad bit of news for Ciaran. He'll be disappointed to know that Battleborn's remaining lifetime is over. And I'm sure he was there, as Eurogamer writes, that Battleborn's remaining players wave goodbye in mid-shutdown. With its servers deactivated, Battleborn is no longer playable in any form. Even single player is already being removed from digital storefronts.
I was probably the last
It
person.
already was last year, wasn't it?
No, I bought it last year.
Yeah, but not through a digital storefront, though.
Yeah. Oh no, I had to no. I had to go through like their own storefront on like their website.
Yes.
I didn't even know if it was going to work. It was sketchy. Look, to be honest, in memorial for it, I had just left my computer open since I did that stream with just a queue running in the background.
So you found a match.
Still didn't find a match, and as the server shut down and my queue ended, I poured one out for the boys. The Battleborn
They say
boys.
here over at the rapidly shrinking Battleborn subreddit, players have issued their farewells, and there's some pictures here of people doing fan art with May 3rd, 2016 to January 31st, 2021, and people posting pictures of having to uninstall the game from the Steam library. So.
What's funny is I've recently seen a crop up of YouTube series in my like kind of suggested of Battleborn and Paladins players playing Overwatch for the first time.
Well, I mean, they gotta.
I'm like, look, you content creators got to do something, right? Like, good on you.
The games die, so I have no choice but to come over to the big dog. I guess.
I'm excited for all the Battleborn characters to pop up in Fortnite.
Don't
I think
curse
I
us.
think that'll be an epic where they're just like, you know what, that's probably best left unmentioned.
We just added G.I. Joe characters. Here comes Battleborn. Crickets.
Instantly kills them.
I mean, if anybody can make something cool, it's epic for Fortnite.
Maybe. Well, they made Fortnite cool, so.
That's
I'll tell you what. Not a great week for hero shooters. This game's dead. Another one's dead.
Yeah, let's talk about the one that's dead. So, Push Square writes, don't expect Diablo 4 or Overwatch 2 to launch this year. During its latest earnings call, Activision confirmed that neither Diablo 4 nor Overwatch 2 will launch this year. The two titles were originally announced back at BlizzCon 2019 have been completely missing in action ever since, and 2021 doesn't appear to be the right time for them either. That doesn't rule out more information and footage being shown from the pair at some point over the next 11 months, but as far as release date goes, it's not happening this year. It's worth noting that BlizzCon is a couple weeks, whatever it is.
February 19th and 20th.
There you go.
So
you can get your digital tickets if you want to buy a ticket, even though it's a free event, at the Battle.net store.
And maybe they talk about it there, but going by the earnings
it's
call,
it's already confirmed that I'm guessing
they'll show another cool cinematic.
They will, and I'm excited for that cool cinematic because those cinematics are amazing. No, I feel like they need to get ahead of themselves and get ahead of the ball a little bit here, even though this phone call has kind of pulled the rug out from under them. Because look, up until this point, I think for the majority of Overwatch content creators and Overwatch fans, it had all but been confirmed that it was going to be next year for Overwatch 2. Whether that be because of the effects of coronavirus or rumors of stuff that they've had to scrap and restart, or there was also rumors of the voice actors not even coming in to do voiceover for all the story missions and stuff yet, apparently.
Just recutting stuff from the first game.
Well, no, because it's probably, there's like story missions and stuff. Apparently.
When Kree hops up, it's just high noon. That's it.
Honestly, the biggest...
That's the only things he says.
The biggest problem, I guess, is that now Jeff Kaplan is going to have to come out on stage at BlizzCon and try and... not save face, but save Overwatch a little bit in terms of we already knew that the last character release was Echo, who was.
This is what I was going to bring up: the lack of content.
Yeah. Yes, the lack of content was.
Overwatch is a dead game, right?
Well, no, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
It's not being supported.
No. It is though. They balance patch it quite regularly, but it's a case of they had very openly been like, "Hey, Echo's going to be the last character for Overwatch 1. When Overwatch 2 comes out, we're going to release it with 4 or 5 new characters all at once." And we'd seen one of them, and there was a new game mode for Overwatch 2. I feel like they do have to bring at least one of those characters forward this year.
Can they though? Can they just move a character?
No, but they have to. They have to because Overwatch 2 isn't... Well, the original goal for Overwatch 2 was going to be able to be played side by side with Overwatch 1. That you could still play... Apparently, the belief was going to be that Overwatch 1 was going to go free to play, and you can play Overwatch 1, and that is in the same integrated community as Overwatch 2 is. Overwatch 2 just has updated graphics and everything with it, and the story missions and stuff like that. So... that would, in theory, then, that would mean that they'd have to have set up the characters to be able to run in the original Overwatch game. And they desperately need to at least release 1 or 2 of those in the coming year, because Overwatch is going to suffer without that kind of content. I think that kind of content brings characters back. And even though they do have their regular events and everything and their skins, they do regularly bring people back. But this is just.
Do you think one character released in 2021 would be enough to keep people happy?
Echo was interesting enough last year for that to be the case, even though Baptiste was not too far before that. I think they could pull it off with 1. If that's 1 with the promise of there's 4 or 5, and they also are aiming for early 2021. Then I think that will be okay, especially with balance patches and changes, or if they are going to make changes
2022.
It's not. Oh, yeah, sorry, 2022. It's 2021 this year. If they are going to release it early 2022, I think Overwatch can be. There's enough they can do with Overwatch. Overwatch League helps a lot, and also the same thing was like, honestly, they were never going to release Overwatch 2 prior to either the end of an Overwatch League season or after the beginning of a season, because it would be really dumb for your esport to either randomly change versions of the game mid-season or to have a different version of the game out in the public but then playing an old version for your esport would be a really bad decision either way.
I'm gonna put a bug in your soup and say that this doesn't come out until mid to late 2022. Not early.
I think they're like Blizzard's super fucked if that's the case. like honestly, that's going to be super hard for them. Unless, you know what, Jeff Kaplan could come out at BlizzCon and be like, "Hey guys, we've restructured our content plan for the next 12 to 18 months.
We've scrapped Overwatch 2. All that content's now Overwatch 1. Overwatch 2 will now come out in 2038.
No. They're not going to do that. It's just going to be a case of let's call them out. We're going to either try and move the new game mode into the game, or we're going to have a competitive reset, or we're going to do something major to the characters and the meta in Overwatch 1, or we're going to start bringing characters forward and releasing characters into Overwatch 1 to kind of continue to further inject new playability. Because I think Echo did a really good job, and Echo's character design's super interesting. Their main problem the main problem they're facing, and I'm not going to take up too much more time talking about Overwatch, even though I probably could.
I brought it in the show notes, so...
Yeah, no, that's okay. Even though, the problem that they're currently having with Overwatch is that their new characters are so interestingly designed and so dynamic in their designs, it makes the old characters look and play like shit. It's just like in the meta of the game, it's really hard to play your Reinhardts and your Winstons in general because their kit is just really outdated. So when a lot of people think that in Overwatch 2 they were going to start updating those characters as well and giving them new abilities or changing them enough to have new abilities to make them feel that way, it's where they kind of are caught in this weird space where if they do decide, fuck it, we're going to start releasing new characters again, it's going to just continue making that divide feel more and more between the characters, and definitely with who's being picked in terms of the Overwatch meta. And
to a degree, I just feel like Blizzard's whole problem is making the game not free to play. The fact it feels so out of it. Overwatch just feels so weird to be. It's like the only game that you have to they sell as a product. It's a full priced game
of that genre.
of that genre. Yeah, like which makes it just seem so weird when every other
thing,
popular
is
game
that they're still at the same time they're still continuing. They're still continuing in terms of the like at the minute. I think we only had a sale like at the start of the year with Overwatch being like 75% off. I think it's 50% off again now currently. So they're still trying to get what money they can for the game. But I think it eventually is going free to play. It'd be kind of weird if they announce at BlizzCon it's going to be free to play while they're still trying to sell it currently for 50% off. But at the same time, I think Overwatch will need to put systems in place for competitive integrity to make sure there aren't people making a billion Smurf accounts or
cute.
Well, I only have a couple and I don't use them as Smurfs.
They don't care.
They're practice
They don't care
accounts.
as long as they're paying $70 for each account.
No, but that's what I'm saying for free to play. If they're gonna go free to play,
oh, okay.
This is what I'm. Yeah, that's what I'm. That's why I understand if they don't care currently.
See all my Apex Smurfs.
Yeah, where it's gonna be but yeah, I think Overwatch is in a weird spot. It's been in a weird spot for a while. I think Blizzard definitely need to find a way to get in front of the 8-ball at BlizzCon to try and make up for it and try and help out a lot with the community stuff.
There's your woes. Let's talk about my woes. So, if you've been patiently waiting news for Bayonetta 3...
We're also not going to talk about Diablo? Are we not shocked?
I'm not
Especially
shocked.
seeing they said Visceral
Diablo.
Visions came on to help.
I'm so not shocked I was ready to.
Team 1 got cancelled, right? That was the
thing.
That whole game.
No, but Vicarious Visions only came on to do Diablo 2, though.
Yeah, but all the rumors for Diablo 4 was they pretty much scrapped it like a year ago. Like what they had, so.
The thing is, right, is that I'm guessing bringing in Vicarious Visions, Diablo 2 Remaster is going to be easy for them to fucking churn out. So that's going to buy them time for Diablo 4 to take another year or two longer.
Diablo 4
that's
is
why it's
2+ years away. There's my...
Yeah, it's going to be a fair while away.
There's my opinion.
They should just bring out like another mobile game or something, though.
Yeah, well, can't wait to hear about that on a couple weeks' time. So my baby, Kieran's baby to my baby. In an interview of VGC, Platinum Games own Hideki Kamiya and Atsushi Inaba discussed many upcoming projects. When asked about Bayonetta 3, Kamiya's recent comments about fans getting updated at some point this year, he was very coy, saying, it's not really our position to say it's January, but we have something coming out, right? I guess it's safe to expect that something will come out. There's still a lot of this year left. He continued to laugh about the matter, and even laughed about the fact that Bayonetta 3 news is driving fans crazy, saying, in light of that, my suggestion would be that maybe we all reset and forget about Bayonetta 3. Then when something finally does happen, it'll be a nice surprise, won't it?
That's a please stop asking.
This screams I haven't started this project yet.
Please stop. It's like the teacher's like, hey guys, can we get that assignment in? You remember? Yeah, like, can you like ask?
Reset?
Can you just, or like, you know, you look at you're the kid that hasn't done the class, and the teacher has clearly forgotten about the homework, but there's some fucking kid in the back row of the class that's like, miss, do you want us all to hand in the homework? And you're just like, you motherfucker, why do you bring it up? Why have you done this to us? You fucking keep mentioning Bayonetta 3, and people are going to realize we're not fucking working on it.
Yeah. We got like 60, 70 other games that we've got like that are far more exciting. Interesting.
See, as someone who cares about this, I'm going to say that he's just being an ass because that's what he does, and that we will actually get another trailer this year. Because the other thing with this game is that it's got Nintendo's money in it, so it's not like, you know, like it's not just.
Yeah, I'm sure Sony paid Rockstar to make Agent.
Yeah, I don't know what this agents are very. You're pulling a hat out of a bag, like
you're pulling a hat out of a bag.
You're pulling a cat out of a bag. I don't know. I'm saying that like Nintendo has worked with them on Astral Chain and what like so.
They saw Astral Chain. They're like, yeah, that's a better game than Bayonetta. Work on that instead.
I feel like
I highly doubt it because Bayonetta sold really well. So
I feel like this is very wishful thinking coming out of Dylan as he holds on to hope.
Says the guy who's like, I reckon Overwatch will come out early next year. Of course it's wishful thinking. I want to play the game. What am I going to have? Non-wishful thinking?
At least the Overwatch team weren't like, hey guys, can we just forget about Overwatch 2 for a second?
That whole interview. It's one of those interviews where reading the text back and forth, you can't really get the cadence, and it honestly feels like they're just trolling half the time. Because there was another part I pulled out for a different story where the two of them begin talking about Star Wars, and literally there's a segment of the interview on VGC where they begin arguing about the sequel trilogy being shit or not, and I'm like, what is this interview? And then they talk about how they'd love to do a Star Wars game, but people probably wouldn't like the Star Wars game that Platinum would make, and all these sorts of things. So it was some interesting people. Anyway, hopefully we get something for my sake. Gearbox Entertainment has been brought by Embracer Group in a $1.3 billion deal. GamesIndustry.biz writes that Embracer Group has made its most significant acquisition to date with a $1.3 billion deal for Borderlands developer Gearbox Entertainment. That figure was given as the maximum value based off the transaction, which will see the Texas-based company become a wholly owned subsidiary of Embracer Group. However, the deal is heavily balanced towards performance targets. On day one, the purchase price of Gearbox will be $363 million, of which $175 million is in newly issued B shared in Embracer Group. Gearbox owners could receive just over $1 billion if it hits its agreed 6 years performance targets, of which $360 million will be Embracer shares. And let's be honest, I highly doubt they're going to hit that unless they have Borderlands 4. I don't know, that's just me. I'm going to say they don't hit that unless Borderlands 4 is coming out. Gearbox Entertainment is a 550-person team will join the Swedish group's 5,500-strong workforce. And I continue. So, in an update to all this, of people being worried what this means to 2K Games and Gearbox or whatever, 2K Games has released a statement clarifying that its relationship with Gearbox and status as the publisher of Borderlands remains unaffected by Embracer's acquisition. And saying, quote, as the proud publisher of the Borderlands franchise, we are happy for our partners at Gearbox and this exciting new chapter for the organization. The merger does not change 2K's relationship with Gearbox, nor our role as the publisher for the Borderlands IP or any other projects we are currently working on with the studio. We look forward to continuing our long-term partnership with this incredibly talented team and delivering many more exciting entertainment experiences to gaming fans around the world. So, Embracer Group is a Swedish... This is where it gets interesting. So I'll just read the Wikipedia here, I guess. Embracer Group AB, formerly Nordic Games Publishing AB and THQ Nordic AB, is a Swedish video game holding company based in Karlstad. The company was established under the name Nordic Games in December 2018, forming the video game publishing subsidiary of game retailer Games Outlet Europe. So that's the hit there. They've got their pockets in quite a lot of things, not all gaming things. So obviously Koch Media, Saber Interactive, THQ Nordic, but then they've also now Gearbox, but they've also got like some other random things, including like smaller studios like this Coffee Stain Holding, Swedish-based video game place that made like Goat Simulator and stuff. So I don't know. I don't really know what this means for Gearbox, but it doesn't sound like much is going to change, and it sounds like Embracer Group's just kind of playing for the money. So if Gearbox hits their targets in 6 years, they make a buttfuck amount of money, I guess. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not all up with the business whiz, but at the same time, honestly, compared to when Vicarious Visions a couple of weeks ago was shoved onto a project, and that kind of just annoyed me or whatever else, Gearbox, I don't think that Gearbox could have been brought by anyone for it to worry me. Like, if Xbox had brought them, Sony, fucking anyone, I would have been like, I don't really care, honestly. Like, I would have been like, Gearbox, whatever. And also, I don't know how they're going to... I honestly don't feel like they even do, like, outside of Borderlands. Like, do they do anything else that people love, really? Does anyone think of... Is there anything else?
Battleborn.
Yeah, that's true.
Look forward to
But Battleborn Reborn.
Wasn't there
Coming soon.
Battleborn, Bulletstorm?
That's a dead franchise?
No, that's not them.
Bulletstorm was Gearbox.
I think
Oh, it was published by them.
published
but
by them.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
was
think
done by.
Yeah.
It was done by People Can Fly.
People Can Fly.
Duke Nukem.
Yeah, they made that. Took them about 11 years.
Man, that was so good. Do you know I still have the collector's edition for that game?
I bought the
somewhere?
collector's edition also.
Like,
as a
I
meme.
think I have it.
I brought it
is
as a
in
meme.
here somewhere?
Came with
No,
like
it's not
a
in
deck
here.
of
I have it
cards
hidden.
and coins.
It came with a deck of cards and a little Duke Nukem bust. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I moved it when I moved house. I was like, oh, I've still got this. Okay.
I believe I probably have it somewhere. It was a really bad decision to buy it. I think I got it
was
at the time
terrible.
because
I just had it.
I was like, this game's been in the works for so long. I feel like I have to.
I think I had it pre-ordered for a stupid amount of time because I was like, it's Duke Nukem, man. Did I ever tell you that, like, I don't know what, like, my parents either just, well, my dad definitely did. Mum had no idea. My first console was a PlayStation 1. The first game that was ever
Babe
bought
Pigs
just
in
for
the
me.
City?
No, Duke Nukem 3 Land of the Babes.
Oh, that's the one, yeah, Land of the Babes.
And I was like, yikes.
Yeah.
Like,
that opening
looking back at it, I'm like,
cutscene where it's
that's-
just, yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, I also had that game and I probably wasn't supposed
to. Not age appropriate
No,
at all.
not at all. No. Animal Crossing sold a fuck ton. So Animal Crossing New Horizons is the second best-selling Switch game ever now. For 4 years, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been the top-selling title for Nintendo Switch. Now its crown has been threatened by an unlikely contender, Animal Crossing New Horizons. While title certainly has dedicated fan base, the success of New Horizons is unprecedented for the franchise, writes Kotaku. In its latest financial report, Nintendo detailed its earnings over the last 9-month period, included a detailed breakdown of the sales figures for the latest Switch games, including the fact that Animal Crossing's first entry on the Switch sold a whopping 31.18 million units, just behind Mario Kart Deluxe's 33.18 million. I think when you put those stats next to each other, and the fact Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been out for several years more than Animal Crossing, and the fact Animal Crossing is just right behind it, right on its ass. And I mean, that many units in itself, 30 plus million, is ridiculous for game sales numbers.
Well,
for a
Animal
Nintendo
Crossing
console,
was-
like
it was just kind of perfect storm, though, right? Like, I think if Animal Crossing didn't release when it released, it probably wouldn't have had those numbers, but just it was the craze for the beginning of the pandemic, where everybody was locked inside their homes, and everybody was like, wow, this Nintendo game where you get to have a bit of escapism, where you have a little island that you get to cultivate and grow and build however you want and meet new people and socialize with your friends online. Like, it was just and then the thing was, it was like that zeitgeist of social media, and it happened to me where you just see everybody posting about it and talking about it on social media, and you're just like, man, I want that game. I'd love to know.
that is what you
And
said.
it's
Yes, I want that game.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd love to know is like, and I guess it's not really a metric you could be like, but how many more consoles did that sell? Like, I'd love to know how many people just were buying Switches just because of that game and the period of time it was happening.
I would take a guess of, I don't know, 5
At least
to
6.
10 million of its sales were extra Switches. Honestly, I feel like that sounds like I'm over exaggerating, but I don't even feel like I would be, honestly.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you wouldn't be too far off the money.
I think a lot of people were buying Switches to play the game with their friends who didn't have one at that point, and not because they weren't gamers per se, more so they had their 3DS or whatever, and then they went rushing to buy a Switch, and then Animal Crossing came out, and they're like, well, now's the time.
No, I have to.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to be a part of this thing, you know.
The other thing I'll say for this is I do believe, although it's obvious that the pandemic and COVID obviously increased the sales for this a little bit, I still reckon that in a normal world this game would have sold really fucking well. And I think it's only it's certainly going to increase because of COVID, but I definitely feel like the Switch already being the mega success that the Switch is, and Animal Crossing being the property that it is, and people maybe returning to Nintendo consoles for the first time or wanting to try out that franchise for the first time, I still think that Animal Crossing would have sold very fucking well, even in a normal world without pandemics. So, good job, Animal Crossing. Talking about Nintendo. IGN writes that Nintendo reportedly cancelled a Zelda Netflix series after it leaked. I call this the Tarantino effect. Because in case you don't know, there was a time where Tarantino's script for the Hateful Eight leaked, and then he's like, I'm not making that anymore then, I'm just going to do it as a fucking play. So, he made the movie eventually. So.
It sounds like a very Nintendo move as well at the same time, where it's like, fucking, they just took their ball and went home. Like,
Pretty
fuck
much.
you guys. You're going to ruin this for us? Like, yeah.
So, as reported by Eurogamer, US comedian Adam Conova, who was aware of a secret Star Fox claymation project around the same time, revealed that Nintendo cancelled its proposed slate of video game adaptations with Netflix after someone from within the company allegedly spread the word about the Zelda series. The Wall Street Journal shared details of the adaptation, and Nintendo rescinded the show. Quote, suddenly there were reports Netflix wasn't going to make it Legend of Zelda anymore, Konova recently recalled, speaking to the Surf Times podcast. I was like, what happened? And then I heard from my boss, we weren't doing the Star Fox anymore. I was like, what happened? And he was like, someone in the Netflix leaked the Legend of Zelda thing. They weren't supposed to talk about it. And Nintendo freaked out and they pulled the plug on everything, the entire program, to adapt these things. News of the prospective live-action Legend of Zelda series of Netflix hit headlines back in 2015 when a person familiar with the matter reportedly told the Wall Street Journal that the streamer had described the upcoming show as a Game of Thrones for family audience, with the story that would follow Link's conquest to save Princess Zelda and land of Hyrule. However, little more was said than that. I was kind of shocked by this because I always took any ideas of a Legend of Zelda series as just complete bullshit, to be honest. I felt like Nintendo would make game, TV series, movies of everything before Zelda. I always felt like Zelda would be the thing they would touch last, like after the testing grounds and getting the formula working or whatever.
Zelda would be so hard to do. Like, how would you do Link as a protagonist?
I think we've had this conversation
when
the news popped up before.
Just sign language.
Yeah,
done.
And I think saying at the time, and I would still stand by now, is that you would have to make him talk. Like, I don't think there's a way around it. Like,
Fully subtitled.
Fully subtitled, just like the game.
It's as bad as it sounds.
He's mute. He's an actual mute. He just has to sign language everything.
As bad as it sounds,
that'd be very progressive.
The reason that they would make him speak is because more people would watch it. Like, as bad as that sounds, that is just like, I feel the simple truth. So,
well, that's the thing.
I don't know. You make him cool.
As they've already shown with The Witcher and stuff, you can't just make content that's specifically aimed at gaming fans and that alienates the general public from it. You have to try and make something that's going to do everything. That somebody can sit down without prior knowledge and watch it without being.
That's such a good success with the Detective Pikachu movie. So,
yep.
Maybe that. I don't know. I feel like that would have made them want to do this more, but they got cold feet pretty fast by the sounds of it. So, I don't know.
Well, I'd assume the Pokemon company was more in control of the Pokemon Detective Pikachu one.
Yeah.
Nintendo was.
Yeah. I guess I'd be right. The Game Freak.
Yeah. I feel like this is like a cultural thing, you know? Like, wow, you couldn't keep this project, you couldn't keep the information close to the chest, you broke a contract or whatever. Just got to scrap everything.
You broke Broco.
And I suspect they weren't happy with what they were doing so far.
Possibly.
You know.
Then why scrap the Star Fox thing, if that's the thing as well? Why scrap both?
I'm sure it's just across the board. They were like not impressed, and like obviously it didn't hurt them to see these projects be culled.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm still waiting for that Pokemon sequel. So that Super Mario Brothers movie to have it. The Return of the Bros. I don't know. Press Stars writes, the next Battlefield is still coming this year and will support more players than ever before. EA, I don't know why I struggle with that. EA has committed to the fact that the next Battlefield is still on track to release later this year. On its earnings call this morning, there's a lot of earnings call talk this week. I should have started this podcast earnings call. On its earnings call this morning, it said that the game will be launching in holiday 2021, will feature an all-out military warfare, support more players than ever before with more player agency. It's also set to take advantage of next-gen consoles, expected to release on PS4, Xbox One as well. EA has said that we can expect the game to be revealed in autumn, March to May. We don't know a whole lot about setting for the game, with no leaks being prominent as previous years. I gotta be honest, I put this in here because I just want to say, I'm all about it. I'm all about a Battlefield on next-gen consoles because... like, the idea that we can just get the 60 FPS, like, you know, a big open warfare Battlefield. It's been a few years since I got into one, and the idea of playing one on my new console with that DualSense and everything, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm back, you know? I think I'm down.
The weird thing is, and even though, we've mentioned several times about how good Bad Company was, Battlefield truly, in many ways, peaked during Battlefield 2. And
Battlefield 3.
I don't think Battlefield 3...
That's subway level.
Wasn't Battlefield 3, though, marred by the fact that a lot of people didn't like the dynamic levels?
I don't know. I don't know if that was the general consensus, but me and all my friends, PC and console players, because I used to play it at Guff as well.
The Tassie boys.
The Tassie boys, yeah. Mm-hmm. We all love it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was just a thing where Battlefield, in many ways, has struggled to kind of keep going. And I remember Battlefield 1, I loved those vignettes in that game. That story was really cool. Just overall, and probably some of my favorite storytelling in a lot of things. So to see that going forward in this, I'm excited to see what they do, though. It's
funny, though, because I know, I feel like they definitely went off the track. Bad Company had my favorite single-player Battlefield stuff, but then the multiplayer stuff was also probably the best between Bad Company and Battlefield 3 for me. So I don't know. They just kind of start going on. It went off tracks at Battlefield Hardline. That's when the swerve happened, I feel.
Oh, it went weird.
It went weird.
They did some odd stuff during that. That was an odd choice.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited because, I don't know, just between playing Call of Duty a bit over the last couple months and then Apex, very much their own things. The idea of playing a Battlefield game, big, massive map, Battlefield's its own thing. It's its own baby. PlayStation Lifestyle writes, Square Enix and Dontnod Entertainment have reportedly parted ways. Square Enix declines to comment. A day ago, French studio Dontnod Entertainment announced a business cooperation agreement with Tencent whereby the Chinese conglomerate will invest in the studio and acquire a minority stake. According to a post by Twitter tipster Emily Rogers, Life is Strange publisher Square Enix and developer Dontnod parted ways, quote, a long, long time ago, and that any future games in the series will be developed by Before the Storm studio Deck 9. Eurogamer contacted Square Enix for a statement, but was declined to comment. However, as their website has noted, recent developments seem to add some weight to the rumor. Last year, Dontnod set up a new studio in Montreal, which is comprised of key figures in Life is Strange development team. The studio confirmed that its Montreal branch is not working on Life is Strange because it has, quote, new exciting ideas we want to explore. In addition to this, Dontnod has joined a growing number of developers who want to self-publish in order to retain IP ownership and creative freedom. The press release announcing its deal with Tencent confirmed as much. As Eurogamer pointed out, Dontnod's publishing deal with Bandai Namco Entertainment for Twin Mirror didn't pan out, resulting in the developer publishing the title itself. Previously, Dontnod teamed up with Focus Home Interactive to release Vampire, and with Microsoft to release Xbox exclusive Tell Me Why. Ciaran, how would you feel about no Life is Strange 3 from Dontnod, or whatever?
It's sad, but at the same time, I'm not kind of totally destroyed by that. I think Deck 9 still did a really good job of with Before the Storm, so I feel like Life is Strange is a series that can be given to another developer to kind of use as a launching platform or to continue to build off of as a franchise. And I think Dontnod have proven that they have got some really great game development chops and that they should be able to kind of dig their teeth into more. I hope it's a greater success than Vampire was, but I think they've definitely got a lot of potential in that development team. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I think they're more than Life is Strange, even though everyone just wants them to kind of make Life is Strange. And obviously, love Life is Strange 2, love Life is Strange 1, love Beyond the Storm. So as far as I'm concerned, all those games are great. I don't dislike any of the Life is Strange games so far. I haven't played all of Dontnod games, but I've always been interested and happy to keep track of what they're doing. As I know, a lot of the internet freaked out over the Tencent deal. Honestly, I understand why everyone hates Tencent because it's kind of like this mega corporation that people view sort of like a Disney, where it's sort of sticking its finger in all the pies, trying to collect as many game companies as it can to a degree by buying little percentages in each. But what they own, although it was a fair chunk of money. Everything they've said and by everything I've read, I couldn't remember, what's that dude's name I can't remember his name, so I'm going to say. There was a good Twitter thread by someone breaking down how much they own and what that means. And it basically means they're not going to have a say over what games they make. It means what you're going to get is potentially mobile ports for Chinese audiences sooner than later of games, of Dontnod games that we haven't already got. Basically is the long short of it so far. Last news story here I'll talk about a little bit of a interlude before we get to our main topic, but this one was interesting. Ori director criticizes developers for overhyping games with lies and deception. So this was just a whole shit story. What this was.
This is some low-hanging fruit if I've
Very
ever
much.
seen something.
So Game Industry Biz writes, Moon Studio CEO and Ori game director Thomas Malla called out other studios for misrepresenting the games ahead of launch in a long Reset Era post titled, Why are gamers so eager to trust and even forgive the snake oil salesman? Malla particularly targeted industry veteran Peter Molyneux, No Man's Sky developer Sean Murray, and Cyberpunk 2077 studio CD Projekt Red. He accused them of, quote, lies and deception, selling features that don't exist, and by overhyping the games, making fools of players. He also criticized journalists for happily playing along each and every single time. Preempting criticism from readers, he added that he's not being bitter or shitting on other devs, but that he is shitting on liars and people that are okay with openly deceiving others, saying, quote, it all started with Molyneux. He was the master of the, instead of telling you what my product is, let me just go wild with what I think it could be and get you all excited. Which it's true to a degree.
Okay?
It's kind of what Molyneux did.
Definitely what Molyneux did. Molyneux is probably, in my opinion, he's the worst.
He was the first.
He was the first.
He was the first. Going a bit too far. He then attacked Sean Murray, saying that Hello Games is No Man's Skies. Murray leaned straight into the Peter Molyneux handbook, and then he loved the spotlight, arguing that No Man's Sky's launch was nothing what Murray hyped it up to be. He also called out industry peers for forgiving Hello Games, and then he also went on to say that CG Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077 only being a fraction of what the developer hyped it up to be. There's a part here where he gets angry, basically saying that he was annoyed that some popular video game website or something was like, hey, we was going to put Ori on, but people love No Man's Sky more, so that's more popular, so we're going with that, and that sort of pissed him off or whatever. Update to the story was that he did eventually apologize for this, saying he did not choose the right tone or platform to express his thoughts, which is a half-assed apology, really. But
yeah, no, it's hey, realized even though I think these things, I probably shouldn't have shared them. So
yeah, I probably shouldn't have said these things out loud today. But
look, it's just some it's the thing is though, he has presented nothing new. Like, he's not done anything new. This is all shit that's either kind of been said in the past or has been well documented by the game community. Like, there's nothing, like, even though, like, I get his, like, criticism of people forgiving Hello Games for it, but at the same time, No Man's Sky being what it is today is actually really fucking impressive, considering a lot of developers would have just, like, after the backlash they copped for the original launch, would have just given up and not tried to better that game. And I think No Man's Sky is a better game because of the developers working hard and pushing it to be to meet what they wanted and what they envisioned. I think, I don't think this is productive in any way.
No, he's definitely. I mean, I'm hoping
he's not wrong, but
he's not wrong. Correct.
To a degree, he's not wrong. Like, there's some things I do agree about, but it's just also, it's not something a game.
The No Man's Sky one, I think it was a bit.
Well, look, I mean,
I think we can't assume people's intents. Like, I'm sure we can't guarantee that the developers intentionally hyped up the game knowing that the game wasn't going to be that way. No. Maybe Peter Nomoli knew to an extent, but I don't think you can paint everyone with the same brush.
Of all the ones he lists, Sean Murray and No Man's Sky is the one I actually feel like deserves the forgiveness to a degree, because although I understood why people were pissed off at the time, in retrospect, it is 100% in my mind, anyway, it's 100% a case of Sean Murray being so far out of fish out of water. Like, he went from just being random game developer who had made a couple fucking Joe Danger games.
Beautiful joke.
Or whatever those games were, yeah.
Not yet.
The bike jumping things. He went from making those to coming up with this game that just took off through the internet. And then he was getting invited on late night shows and stuff to talk about the game. Yep. And he was not a PR trained person. Like, he was just speaking in ways he should. Like, no one said, I think I've said this before. I don't think anyone sat him down and said, here's what you should and shouldn't say. Like, even if you're planning on
nobody
hoping,
reined him in.
Yeah, he just
Like, he was allowed to let his ambitions run wild, which is, you know, in some occasions, it's not bad.
It's
to
fine
let
when you're
be
at the
ambitious.
when you're at your
When you're at the
studio
development table.
discussing
Yeah,
with
exactly.
your developers what you'd like to make in your game.
But
not when
yeah,
you're
it's-
on national TV
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
It's a good example of people being like, this is why PR people are
Exist.
very good for your business and your organization, because they'll kind of lessen
Rein
this
you
to
in.
a certain
You
extent.
see those
Yeah,
interviews
exactly.
of
They can
celebs
help.
where they look off screen, they ask their PR rep, like, can I say that? And then they just give them a shake. And they're like, I can't talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
Like-
It's like, yeah, it's, and especially when a lot of people in game development are of the creative mindset and just creatives in general. So they want to share and they want to talk about what they believe in and what they want to do. And it's just, yeah, I just don't think, like, these comments in general, CG Projekt Red, yes, they're bad. Yes, they've done, like, what they did was dodgy. But at the same time, I think the gaming community is just as responsible for this kind of overhype than the developers are. Because a lot of the times, yes, the developers will overhype, but at the same time, it's our communities that kind of grab that hype and then run with it and then shoot
People
the hype to the
are
moon.
super excited about a game because there's a tall lady in it.
Yeah, and like they'll run to the moon with it, and it's Jensen's itself. And then, you know, if Resident Evil Village comes out and she's not tall enough for them in game, are they going to
Turns
be?
out they
is it-
work out this perspective and she's only 8'6".
Yeah,
Right,
like
not enough
is
puddles?
She's exactly
Yeah.
like not enough puddles. Like it is. I think taking aim at game developers is sure, but I think it's like there is a cultural problem that lends it into this on all sides that needs to be addressed in many ways rather than just developers.
yeah.
I tell you what, I hope he's planning on staying at that High Moon Studio, whatever it's called, for a while.
Because he's pissed off a lot of people, eh? Just being like,
I can't imagine other studios would be like, Moon Studios. Can't imagine other studios be like, yeah, that's somebody
It's
we
like
would want on, knowing that they could potentially. cause
it's
a
like when you
PR disaster.
like you hear that people didn't get a job because employees looked up their Facebook page and they were like shit canning their last employer, and it's like, well, yeah, of course not. They're not gonna do that. Like it's just a.
I think I understand where he's coming from for a lot of this, even though I disagree about the Sean Murray thing, obviously. And I wouldn't go as far as to say that game developers should not be able to criticize other developers because they work in the industry. I just think he should have said it less
Better.
Yeah, he should have just said it better. Like, because he comes across really aggressive and spiteful and everything else. Like, I feel like in another world, if he called his words in and like thought about what he's saying, he could have said these.
Got someone from PR to have.
Yeah,
He could
exactly.
have talked. He could have talked in a very general manner without calling out anybody individually.
Yeah, and still
could have just
got his point
called-
across. Yeah,
Yeah, and still got what he wanted to get across.
even
Like,
if we could have
just
read
talked
between the
about
lines and known what game he
Yes.
was talking about. Like,
But exactly. Where if he's just talking about these themes and like of people being overhyped about games, it's like, cool, that's fine. But yeah, when you start attacking people directly and kind of directly calling, but it's just like, you know, it's like, it's not like the whole of the gaming community loves Peter Molyneux. I think the general thoughts of
no one knows
Peter
who Peter
Molyneux
Molyneux is
is
these days, to be honest.
true, but the people who do know of him know that he was very much a freaking snake oil salesman. Like, he's very much like that, and that is a general opinion of
The
him.
problem was that he
So
did
it's-
it every fucking game he made. Like, it
every
was,
game, and that's why, and it's a general opinion. That's why it's like, man, bringing this up now, it's just there's no. You're
Where
not
Sean
adding
Murray
anything
did it
to that
for
conversation.
one game, fixed
One
it,
game.
made it really popular, and has also released other things since then. So, like, it's kind of like, don't. I know you're not shooting up. You know, like, you're not punching up if you're picking a fight with fucking Sean Murray. Like, he's just another random indie developer, and everyone likes to act like. I know people like to act like CG Projekt Red are an indie developer too, but no, they're not. Like, they're allowed their pot shots. Yeah, so that's interesting. It's good he apologized, but it's like, and to a degree, I get it. It's like, yes, you made a really fucking good game that I should have played earlier, that lots of people probably didn't play, and it's kind of disappointing that it won 0 awards at lots of places, and it's
Also, the same thing.
like I get it, but
It's all stuck on Xbox.
Do you remember? Not even like it's stuck on Xbox. Okay, Ash. But
on PC.
But do you remember? Right. So is he from a world where? Do you remember before Ori and the Will of the Wisps actually came out, and there was like 0 hype for it? Like there was just 0 kind of. When we
also,
saw
they delayed that game like 6-7 times. So
and when they saw it at when we saw it at PAX, we were very confused because we were like, "Oh yeah, Ori's a thing." Cool, I guess.
I don't know if we ever got the story, but I really hope that it was delayed because they didn't want to crunch and not because. Like that's the only like end of this story that would make me go, okay, well that makes sense, but.
But yeah, at the same time, it's like, yeah, you of course you're saying overhype, but then it's like, yeah, but your own projects, you seem to be underselling your own games.
At least they didn't overhype it. Like I don't recall ever seeing and watching anything for Ori that was like that wasn't in the game or like no. Ori's a good game. You should play it. Ori and Will's a great game. It was a very good game. My one little what I've been playing for this week, other than the couple things I talked about reviewing, is I played through all of Resident Evil 7 over the last couple days. Shock horror. I think I did it now. I think I'll sit down another night and like because spoilers, I didn't play all the way through Control Ultimate Edition to do my review. I don't feel like I have to. I already played the fucking game before. Fucking come after me. Fucking attack me, bro. Come on. I was just reviewing the 60 frames. I don't need to plead it.
Not a real game.
Not a real game.
Not a real game.
Anyway, I kind of wanted to finish it because
Man, how dare you even talk about it so publicly?
Yeah,
like you should hide.
I should fucking hide.
You should lie or some shit.
But I do want to finish it again because I fucking love that game, having a great time. But I was like, fuck, maybe I'll do. Because I had nothing else to review at the moment. So like, maybe now I should do Resident Evil.
You kept opening Twitter, and Twitter was talking about a lady.
Yeah, pretty much.
To step on them, and you're like, man,
right, I need to get some backstory. For
I was like, maybe I should play it now. So then instead of doing it closer to 8, and then I'll feel like I'm Resident Evil'd out, like a little bit too much Resident Evil, you know. So I was like, it's probably better just to do it now, so now I can have a break between the games. So anyway, smashed it out over 3 or 4 nights or something like that. I think it was in the long run. The second, it was a lot of short bursts because the first couple of hours of this game was the hardest part.
Yep. Does that.
It was.
As soon as it's like a lot of horror games, as soon as they start arming you with more and more weapons,
I felt better.
It gets easier and easier to deal with.
Okay.
And you feel better. You feel better when you have a nice solid shotgun in your hands. Yeah. When it's those part of the games where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you have no way of fighting back. You've just got to kind of run and hope for the best.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, this game's like split into sections because it's like the first third or half, I guess, I don't know, like the first 2 villains that you have to take down, which is Jack at the start of the game, which is the scariest. He's in all the scariest sections of the game. Like this fucking dude just chasing you all over the house, and like I made a joke.
The first time he breaks through that wall is like, holy fuck, I'm so screwed.
It's fucking scary, and just the fact that like the amount of times, and I did like over exaggerate when I tweeted about hiding for 10 minutes or whatever, 10 hours or whatever it was. But the amount of times I would there was a section where you needed to head back upstairs in the house at some stage, and like. I walk out this door
and you're like, fuck.
And he bursts out on the upstairs part, and I can see him, and then I'm like just slowly back around the corner, and I'm sitting there, and all I hear is Ethan, I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, no, I'm done.
So you weren't tempted to just switch over to VR?
No, fuck that. I would never have played this game VR. I would have been done, man. No. There's like one section where slight spoiler. I'm not going to go full spoilers in case people like me haven't played it before, and they want to play it before 8 comes out.
Before 8.
But there's like one section right before his like final boss fight because you fight him like a ridiculous amount of times.
You fight him like 3 or 4 times.
Fucking dumb. But they're all great fights. But I'm like, fuck, just fucking stay dead.
Just die. Just die.
The final time you fight, well, the second final time, I guess, but there's a part where you're like looking over and you go to grab something, and then like all of a sudden his hands just come out of nowhere and like grab you from behind your face and like swing your head around, and it was that moment where I was like, never in VR, never. Would have pissed myself.
I remember my single scariest moment in the game was the first interaction with the grandmother that you have.
You just walk upstairs and she's just sitting in the corner.
Well, I had it where like I walked out of a safe room
She was just saying, oh yeah,
and she was just sat there, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
She scared me several
What is
times.
this? Is so fucked.
She just moves around the house. I mean, it all makes sense by the time you finish the game, but no spoilers. But this fucking grandma's a bit of a gets around the house.
The game is. I think Resident Evil 7's fucking awesome. Like, it's such a good game. Like, it is so. I thought
it was really good. The one thing that was annoying me is, like after playing the demo for Village, graphically it did definitely feel like a downgrade. So that was the one sort of film that was sticking out, and I thought
should have waited for Resident Evil 7 remake.
Possibly. I mean, that was the other thing, and that's what I was joking about when we talked about that news story about it possibly getting a PS5 version. I was like, do I wait? Don't I wait? But what if that's just a rumor? It doesn't happen. Like, fuck it. I'll do it now. Who cares? I'm not going to hate it. My one criticism, I did feel like the last section of the game was kind of
It definitely changes up its pacing. Like, it changes up its pacing. It becomes a little bit too far towards the action side of the game.
Yeah.
The action side, where the start of the game is so fucking good of, like, horror, but at the same time doing classic Resident Evil puzzles, and you're trying to balance doing puzzles with balancing fucking Jack chasing you around the house at the same time. I think, the pacing after the Jack sections does start to pick up quite a bit.
It's still alright I think it's Margaret. Who's the next person who starts chasing you after him. And she's still creepy. Like, she's not as scary because she doesn't like straight up attack you with a fucking axe to your face and try and murder you. Like, she still tries to kill you, but the way she tries and kill you isn't as scary. So and she
tries to do it in a nice way.
No, well, kind of. And she's definitely not as creepy to just hearing Jack around the house, like his footsteps, and just hearing Ethan. Like, I'll be like, oh, just leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, but other than also, I just don't particularly care for the last the boss fights of Jack are all fine because they're all sort of like these. They're not like proper boss fights. They're like mini events where you just kind of gotta do the right thing. Like the first time you fight him,
there's only one of the boss fights with Jack that's like, man, this is definitely a boss fight.
Yes.
Like, this is 100% like a boss fight.
Yes, where there's certain things you have to shoot and all this. But like, that's a good, like that boss fight, the final boss fight, a boss fight before that. I don't particularly care. I didn't particularly care for them, to be honest. Like, they're just, I don't know. Like, I kind of felt like, I understand there's Resident Evil and, you know, you got to shoot the big bad blowy things, but I just didn't find the boss fights particularly interesting.
No,
or
they
fun.
never. No, they didn't do anything to change anything or kind of pick up the details. So yeah, but it's still a good game.
I think that the biggest thing that impressed me most is just how interconnected everything is. Like, that's the most impressive thing. Like, even by the time you get to the end of the game, the way you're like kind of looping back around this and discovering new ways to things you've already seen and done, and like the way the secret entrances to the house are all connected, which but the funniest thing also I thought was there's like a line Ethan has at some stage where he opens like a secret passageway to something, and he says something like, who the fuck built this? And you can actually find somewhere in the house at some stage you can find like a receipt of to someone having built all this stuff, like a contractor or something like that. And I was like, wow, they actually made sure to chuck something in so people knew what the fuck was going on. And then I guess, you know, it's not a spoil. So it's so funny because I'm like, I'm not going to spoil the game, but at this stage, saying how the game ends to a degree isn't really a spoiler. I feel like everyone knows it. Plus, it's connected.
You kind of have to if you've seen the Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not spoiling the game, but I do want to talk about how it ends a little bit without fully spoiling it. But at this stage, most people know that the game ends and it connects it back to the franchise at large by having Chris Redfield show up at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. You get in an Umbrella helicopter, shows you the Umbrella logo front and center. You're like, okay, cool. All this sort of stuff. Which I knew all that was coming because that's the one thing I definitly had read. You know, I know Chris is in this game. Yes. I'm expecting it. I haven't watched it.
Well, there's a DLC.
I'm going to play all.
It's a really good DLC. You should definitely play.
There's that one, and the second one was called End of Zoe or something that I'm going to play as well.
There's also another one that redoes.
I'm not going to play the band
part of the game.
I'm going to play the band ones. I looked up what's in them, and I'm like, it's just extra stuff. I'll play the 2 story ones, but the ones whatever. But I thought the way it connected is kind of cool, I guess. But also, it's just by the time you get to the end of this game, It's kind of ridiculous.
I think at the time it was very big because when Resident Evil 7 first came out, it was very unclear. It seemed like they were going in a completely separate direction, and it was starting to move away
from
and then when that ending has
zombies and stuff.
Yeah, from everything else they've done. That when you got to that section and Redfield's in it, you're like, holy fuck, this is what is going on. Very much rebooting a lot of the aspects of it in many ways, and I think it's it's exciting as a Resident Evil fan.
By the way,
Ash, I
was about to say I got the canon I got the canon ending because I obviously knew, I knew what choice.
Picked the right one.
I knew what choice I had to fucking make to make the canon ending the correct ending.
Good.
So, it's kind of very obvious, but yeah. Excited for 8 more now. I guess I don't. Honestly, you could probably play 8 without playing this because you could literally in a sentence go. You play as this character. They go through this thing at end of game. Chris shows up. He saves his wife, and really that's all the setup you need. Unless there's more connected things, which I guess maybe. But
I think there is. I think there is a little bit, but yeah,
we shall see. Anyway, a lot of fun. Took me. I think it was somewhere between.
It's not long either. It's like
80 hours. I think it took me a bit over 8 hours to beat.
Yeah.
If you haven't played it and you want to do it before.
And a good percent of that 8 hours is cowering behind doors.
Yeah. Well, I know it was like one of the trophies is beating the game under 4 hours, and I'm like, no, not doing it. I'm not playing that game again. I'm playing that game again. Get the fuck out of here. All right, so big news for the week was the official release date given for Mass Effect's Legendary Collection. Also got some gameplay, a fuck ton of articles released for it, and we officially know what's included, how it looks, the visual upgrades, these sorts of things. So Kotaku writes, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming out May 18th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. For those who've been sleeping under a chunk of Palladium, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a much anticipated remastered collection.
Palladium.
Yeah, I know. So
Fucking hell.
Sweet remastered collection of Bioware's acclaimed science fiction trilogy includes all 3 games and more than 3 dozen DLC from the original trilogy. Everything is done up in 4K. But the Legendary Edition is more than just a sharpening of resolutions. EA's website has one of those composite image sliders that compares the remaster to the original. In addition to notable visual improvements, the heads-up display in the first game has received an apparent overhaul, with Shepard's health on the bottom of the screen now like it is in Mass Effect 2 and 3. According to an interview on VentureBeat, BioWare developer also unified the character created across all the games, smoothed out the shooting mechanics, and updated those pilloried? What? Pilloried? What the hell are they?
Pilloried.
Pilloried? What's that even mean in the Mako controls? I don't even know what that means. Oh, that must be from Mass Effect 1, right? I played it.
That's only Mass Effect 1. That's the steering and everything for the Mako.
Okay.
Because that shit is the worst.
Yeah, I know everyone can play
Pillory, attack or ridicule publicly.
There you go.
Yeah, like it was just how the Mako was in that game.
Load times have been seriously reduced as well per Eurogamer. Loading up the Citadel's Precedent level takes 14 seconds in the Legendary edition compared to the 52 seconds it took in the original game. So, did we all check out the trailer? Did you just look at some screenshots? How are you feeling, Ciaran, about the Legendary?
Looks great. I'm actually really excited. Like, it's one of those things where you see this coming out, you're like, fuck, this is, you know what? Feels like a good time to replay Mass Effect and to play the original trilogy again. Like, I'm really excited to play 1 and 2 again. 3, a little bit, but not as much. But, I really love these games. To know that Mass Effect 1 is going to have the feel of Mass Effect 2 in it is really helpful, because I think I've replayed Mass Effect 1 twice since it was originally launched and I originally played it, and it doesn't age well. It's rough. It's very rough, the original Mass Effect. It's specifically in its shooting mechanics and the Mako in general. The story is still fucking amazing, and that's why I still recommend. Even though a lot of people's like, nah, you could just like play Mass Effect 2 straight away. I'm like, no. Play 1. Get through it. It isn't that long a game. It's fantastic. The story is one of my favorite stories. Also, people who are just a minor point, like this is a minor grievance for me. People comparing Mass Effect to Star Wars, being like, "Well, Mass Effect's a better sci-fi narrative than Star Wars." It's like, yeah, but Star Wars is a fucking fantasy genre. You fucks. It's not sci-fi. It's but no, I think it looks awesome. I think some shots it looked a lot better than others. I like the character models. I'm super pumped for this game, and I'm also glad that FemShep was so largely featured in the trailers and a lot of the
and added to the first game where she wasn't even was she an option in the second game, or was it just the third one?
No, she was an option in the second game. FemShep was definitely an option in the second
definitely
game.
wasn't the first though, so I guess that's you can FemShep the whole journey now. Ash, you haven't played any Mass Effects. Did you see anything?
No, I haven't. So I watched this, the trailer. It looks good. Looks pretty. I think the thing that was very much holding me back, other than it not being on PS, the first game being on PlayStation, was like obviously the first game feeling very different to the second game. So now that they've adjusted that slightly, I'm keen to jump in. So May 14th. Everybody can get their fill of tall women on the 7th of May, and then on the 14th you can all fall in love with all these characters you loved back in the day.
I'm just glad that the Legendary cleans up the Mass Effect. I can't remember if it still did it in 2, but Mass Effect 1 had this like film grainy quality to it that really was like, is this good? And it's really cleaned that up, which is very nice to see.
Tell you what, May is looking pretty strong. You got Resident Evil May 7th, Mass Effect Legendary Edition 14th. Deathloop comes out on the 21st.
Well,
and then
is it?
Biomutant comes out on the 21st.
May is stacked, son.
May's stacked. May's always a good month. May's been a good month the last couple of years, actually.
And that's just what's currently announced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by the job they've done. Visually updating everything. There's a lot of noticeable things and there's a lot of smaller details. So for example, the video, people watching the video version now, in this picture comparison, like the most outstanding feature is it goes from no scales to
Thane's textures.
Yeah,
really cool. And then he's just his character.
Completely scaly now, like the upgraded.
God, Thane was the coolest character.
So that's really cool. I also can't. There's no story for this, but I did see it on Twitter. Was laughing a little bit about the fact that apparently they were like,
oh no, is this the corrupted code bullshit?
This is Miranda's ass bullshit is what this is.
Oh, so Miranda's ass
apparently
bullshit. Okay.
they've changed a bunch of the camera angles so it's not directly staring at Miranda's ass as she speaks all the time, and people of course have spat the gooey and said they're not buying the game anymore, which
you fucking incels. You absolute...
You can't be upset that people are in love with this tall lady and now you can't look at someone's ass. It's like,
no, you can.
What world are we living in?
I was going to spell out exactly why this is an issue for people who don't understand. It's not that you can't have scenes with Miranda being sexy, because there are some in the game where she's being sexy where it's perfectly fine. The problem with Mass Effect 2 was Miranda would be having a conversation where she's like, man, I had a tough childhood and my mother left me and my dog died. And where would the camera be? It would be on her ass as she's having this super
to her ass at some point, and you're like,
okay,
you're like, why?
So this is the line for people that don't understand. Maybe when strong, cool character Miranda's talking about personal, sad things, maybe have it on her face. Maybe if she,
it's also even weirder because Miranda's model is based off Yvonne. I can't remember her surname, but she was in Chuck, the TV show.
Yvonne Strahovski.
Yeah, that's the one. So it's even weirder that it's like a real life person's like face and like not body exactly, but it's their image. So it's even weirder at that point.
Look, Miranda's hot, right? She has a great ass. I don't think anyone's like can argue about Miranda's ass. Like she has an old time video game ass, but the fact that it's 100% the right choice to change where the camera is. And look,
like you know what? I'd understand.
All I'm saying is choices.
No, but I understand if people are like, if they randomly came out and they're like, by the way, we've removed Miranda as a romance option now, then I'd be like, come on.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, look, if you want to see her ass, romance her, and like real life, you'll get to see her ass.
Get her in that engine.
Take her on a date first. Got to earn that. Got to earn that cake, as they say. Is that what the
earn a piece of that cake?
Earn a piece of that cake. I don't know. Do what you got to do. Like,
Then it turns out it's actually cake.
Garrus is like the second hottest character in that game. You never get to see his ass as he's talking about his fucked up childhood. So,
Man, Garrus has like maybe the coolest intro of any of the characters in Mass Effect 2. He's so fucking cool.
he's badass.
Fuck, I love Garrus. He's my bro. He's a homie, that one.
Liara is actually my favorite character, but
No, Garrus is the homie. The OG, like fucking, and it's so sad that you can't do it in either two of the other games. Fucking Garrus and Rex are my boys. Fucking take those two into battle, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm fucking good.
I'm more a grunt person personally. But
No, Rex is such a better character than Grunt.
I don't know.
No, you gotta Ashley. All I'm gonna tell you is make sure you be maxing the Renegade or be maxing the Paragon. Just be fucking maxing the
Just have
shit
to
out
pick
of
one.
those.
So
Like,
good or
just
bad, right?
Pick a good or the bad. But also in Mass Effect 2, you're allowed to be a little bit bad, and you should definitely be a little bit bad every now and then because it's fucking
Can I
hilarious.
ask you a question, Ash? Do you know what Mass Effect 2's ending is? Okay.
Mass Effect 2's ending is fucking insane. It's just like
All
that
I know
whole-
is people really loved the ending to Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, so talking about the ending of Mass Effect 3.
Universally praised,
So
right?
PlayStation Lifestyle writes, Mass Effect Legendary Edition will have extended cut as the canon ending. Pinnacle Station DLC will be missing. According to VG 24/7, players won't be able to experience the original shooter and more controversial ending at all. Another thing players won't be able to experience is the Pinnacle Station DLC, as this won't be one of the 40 DLCs included in the Legendary package. When Mass Effect 3 was first released, it had a controversial ending that left unanswered questions and many fans asking for more. To soothe the outcry, BioWare added an extended cut ending which expanded on the endings with additional scenes and epilogue sequences. This ending will now be default canon ending in the Legendary. So I think this answers a question we had a couple months ago when they originally announced this without giving too much information. I think it was talking about the ending and like which one would they pick and which one is like canon under BioWare. It's the extended cut. There's the go, which I hate obviously because I've said
there you have.
because I've said how much I hate the fuckboys won this one, but that's whatever.
Extended editions are all the rage at the moment. So.
Sure, I guess.
Extended editions, director's cut, they're all canon.
I feel like it's because the extended cut allows them to go into that new Mass Effect game better than the original game did. So whatever, it makes sense. Anyway. Also, I've seen a lot of people, I think a lot of people still being smarky online, like, oh, I want to play Legendary Edition, but don't want to have to play Mass Effect 3 again. I'm like, those jokes, like, shitting on Mass Effect...
I'm still going to play Mass Effect 3.
Well, then don't.
Yeah, like, making jokes about how bad Mass Effect 3's ending is like the equivalent of making jokes about fucking the prequel trilogy at this stage. I'm like, no, just move on with your life. Just if you don't like it, just don't watch it or play it. Just fucking fuck off. Anyway. With all that said, and as cool as I think this looks, I'm not sure I'll be playing it, to be honest. Simply because of everything Ash said before.
Because I said it's the stack month.
Yeah, because it's a stacked month. And I'm like, in what world? Like, I don't know how I make time.
I think my thing is, I don't know if I'll be playing it during May, but I'm going to force myself to buy it in May.
Okay.
So it's there.
Because I'd rather play all the
problem
new games in May over replaying this.
Yeah, very true. Very true. At the same time, I'm like, man, the amount of times leading up to like the Insane trilogy, I was like, man, I can't wait to play Crash. I've never bought it. On the way to Spyro Reignited trilogy, I'm like, fuck, I love Spyro. Spyro was the shit when I'm a kid. I never bought it. I keep looking at every time there's a sale, I'm like, man, I could pick those up. But yeah, no, Mass Effect's...
I platinumed Medieval after all my hype, Ash. That's
fucking Medieval, yikes.
I live up to my...
Fucking yikes. You know what? At least
You'll like
Sony...
the top 3, right? There's only 3 people platinum.
People love that game.
Yeah, 3 people...
Only 3 people
time.
People love that game. Medieval's a shit, man.
It's Daniel Forder's skull.
Great shit. But yeah, it's like maybe if it came out this month, I would have been all over Mass Effect because, as I said, there's not too much. I don't think there's anything out in February I'm particularly excited about off the top of my head. I can't even remember what the fuck's coming out. So, February would have great month. Coming out when there's like 5 other games I want to play. Don't think that's going to happen, but we shall see. All right, I'll do it for Arcade Couch this week. That was a good show, everyone. Good job. You can let us know any questions.
Great. Good job listening.
Good job listening. Thank you for using your ears
Pat on
and
the back.
your mouth and eyes if you're watching, I guess. Let us know any questions, comments, concerns you have. Let us know if you're buying Mass Effect Legendary Edition or if you like Miranda's ass, I guess. Liara's ass, Gareth's ass, Grant's ass. Who's got the best? Who's got the best Mass Effect ass? Is it?
And if anybody says Ashley, you're actually banned from listening to our content.
You know, is it Seth Green's character? Does he have the best ass?
Joker.
Joker, that's it. Yeah.
Joker.
The best ass. You can't say it. He's always sitting down driving the ship, so I don't know.
Hey, he gets to stand up
every now and then. Yeah. You can find us all on Twitter to answer that by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can tell us on Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord to join the Discord. If you liked this episode and you thought it was worth $1, it was good listening and or watching, you can drop us as little as $1 and say thank you for the entertainment by heading to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support. And until next week, same time, same couch. Bye.
See ya.
Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.